Welcome back to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm Plainsman Sports Editor Eric Wallace, joined as always by Plainsman Assistant Sports Editor David McKinney. Got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Baseball's firing up. I guess that's where we'll start. They'll be taking on Binghamton this weekend in the home opening series. Year 2 of the Sonny Galloway era. Obviously the Omaha mantra was what made them famous last year. Didn't quite work out. They fell well short. But there's a lot of changes this year, David, and a lot of optimism in some ways.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this team goes. It's a pretty talented squad they have out there. I think, not to read too much into projections, I think they were projected maybe 11th or 12th.
They were projected to finish last by some.
Yeah, just near the kind of the bottom of the barrel of the SEC. But obviously they're trying to stay more positive as the season opens and look toward Omaha. And I think a big part of that is going to be the performance we see out of Keegan Thompson, the #1 pitcher on the rotation and a Golden Spikes watch list finalist. So I think he's going to be an integral part of this team.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the issues with that projection was because there's a lot of unknown. The entire infield from first base all the way over to third is expected to be completely new starters. Lots of transfers in from junior college. They've got some talented guys like Cody Nolf out of California, Alex Polston. Big hitters. They're expected to bring a lot more, pop to the Tigers lineup because that's really what they struggled with last year. And Galloway has been really impressed with what he calls the Alabama trio in the outfield. It's the consistent part of the lineup for Auburn with Sam Gillikin, Anthony Greer, Jordan Ebert, the SEC's leading returner in batting average. So, while there is some concern, after last year, and it's definitely still a rebuilding process, there is some talent in place, so I think we could see a little bit of an improvement this year from them. Definitely, yeah. Moving on to basketball, where we have not seen many improvements lately, unfortunately. We are just coming off a game against Arkansas, where the Razorbacks scored 100 points, the first time since 2013. And it's just hard to say. I think we've seen the best that this team can do. I don't know where else they can go with the injuries and just limitations, with depth and height on the team.
Yeah, that loss to Arkansas was, it was interesting. 87 points. That should be enough to win wherever you are, not just at home. And after the game, Bruce Pearl kind of said, I don't care where we are. I don't care what building we're in. That's good enough to win a game. And Casey Ross Miller had 21 points off the bench.
Yep. And
he said the same thing. He was obviously a little down during the press conference. And I think just these losses are just wearing on this team. And you build off wins, and I think in that same light, losses just start to build up on you.
Absolutely.
And they just start to pile up. Taj Shamsuddin went down with probably a more serious injury that he's been battling all year. His shoulders are just shot.
Yeah.
And he's been playing through it, but he was in a lot of pain Tuesday night. And Bruce Pearl said after at the press conference that it's probably a lot more serious than what it has been.
Yeah.
And with a team and a roster that's already very thin, losing a guy like that who's a great defender and gives a lot of speed on offense, that's not going to help him.
Not at all. And it's just got to be frustrating for them because they had that momentum after the LSU win on the road, and it's just come crashing down again. They weren't able to build on it at all. So we'll see what they can do this weekend. They'll take on Georgia tomorrow, or I guess on Saturday, on the road. We'll see if they can get their second road win of the season. Moving to other Auburn sports that are having a little more success, to say the least, we'll have a special guest, Plainsman writer, here to talk about the Auburn softball team. I'm here now with Plainsman sports writer Lauren Christopher. She's also the assistant sports director over at Eagle Eye. Lauren's been to, 5 of the 8 softball games so far this year? She's been there. They're off to a great start, 8-0. They won 2 more last night, dropping 20 runs on Georgia Southern. Lauren, what have been your early takeaways from the team?
Well, they pretty much dominated every team that they've played. It's been completely no competition at all. They do the run rule by the 5th inning, and they're pretty much in and out getting the job done. So, the major players that have really stuck out are Emily Carasoni, for example. Obviously, the starting lineup is extremely talented, but having her on offense, she's never struck out as far as I've seen, and I believe it was against Evansville the other day that she hit her second grand slam in 3 games.
Right, yeah, and that's a big accomplishment because she's not. As much as the team is a power-hitting team with the likes of Cooper and Malero and all those other sluggers, Carasoni's not necessarily known for hitting, for power. So what do you think? What do you think they need to improve on? I know obviously the pitching has been their weak point. They've had a couple young pitchers who are developing. Where do you see areas that they could improve on going forward in the year?
Well, you say pitching. They have 4 right now that they get to rotate out for a little bit. And I know the last game, I think it probably was UAB Chattanooga, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
She was hit in the hand by a hit.
Oh, that's right, Abbott,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she had to go out, but she has a really impressive wind-up. It's very unique, and she's really been striking them out. But as far as improvements go, Coach Meyer says that he wants to work more on eliminating errors in the infield. There's a big emphasis on the middle when it comes to softball and baseball, and a lot of, hits have gone straight through them. And once it goes through there, then they're obviously guaranteed a base. So I think that's something they need to work on.
Interesting. Well, we'll look forward to that. They'll take Back to the Field again on Friday, and they also have several games coming up this weekend. So be sure to check them out over at Jane B. Moore Field.
Thanks, Lauren, for coming in and giving your insight on the softball team. In other news, the number 9 Auburn Gymnastics team is playing host this weekend to the first top 10 matchup in Auburn Arena history with the visiting number 2 LSU Tigers. Make sure to check out ThePlainsman.com for recaps, photos, and highlights.
Definitely. In football news, Auburn defensive back Calvarez Besant has left the team. He just cited personal reasons. I think he specifically said that he wanted to spend more time with his children. I know he has 2 kids. So, obviously that hurts the depth, but with Muschamp coming in, you'd expect there to be some personnel changes just because, he didn't have his guys in there. So, hope for the best for Besant, but we'll see what, comes in his place. If you're around campus this weekend, make sure you pick up a print edition of the Auburn Plainsman. We got some great content, including a baseball preview, and my personal favorite, a profile of Auburn men's basketball player Malcolm Canada, written by Plainsman staff writer Derek Thompson. Great story about his childhood in Texas, growing up in a crack house, dealing with his parents' arrest. Just make sure you check it out. It's a great story all around. But that's all we got, as far as I can think of, David. So until next week, this has been This Week in Auburn Sports.